Hello, welcome to class Only DS fam. So today, we're going to be discussing the SJW brain and their anatomy. Let's go downwards over here onto the things they like. Now we've got vegan food, mainstream media, pride parades, and TikTok Central. Vegan food, they hate animals being killed, but like the burgers and hot dogs, those that include meat with the animals, they're already dead, but they don't care about that. So they'll just move on with this. Anything that's like other than meat, they'll be fine with. And what's pretty contradictory about this is that they're eating healthy, but they're also promoting fat activism. And it sends over here on the keeping up with change part, but we'll talk about that later. A little up here, we got mainstream media involving CNN, CNBC, CBS, or ABC. They'll surf through the channel and get an addiction over mainstream media, where the misinformation and fake news comes into play. So to align with the mainstream media, down below we've got pride parades to show their full support because it's home to their own left-wing ideology. Now this small piece over here, pay attention to everybody. This is any amount of happiness they have. They will not stop their activism until they get enough, which seems to me is never enough, if you know what I mean. Now this big piece over here is basically their entire life revolving around this platform. It's called TikTok Central, where it's home to crying about almost anything, including those that like shouldn't be anything to be crying about. Like take for example, some trans women got misgendered in a restaurant. You can go inside the car, whine about it, get his 500,000 followers to attack this employee and try to get him fired. Now this is interconnected with the overthinking gland because TikTok, you could say a whole lot of information that's like pretty stupid and people will believe it. Like holidays are racist, math is racist. We'll get up to the overthinking gland in a little bit. Below most of the SJW brain, we have the inclusivity DEI obsession part. Now, the reason why this is over here is because the more sexual orientations, the more identities, the more changing opportunities, the bigger this part of the brain gets. Someday we're going to be in a point in time where people are identifying as animals and people dressed as furries are going to be piloting planes. But don't worry, because the number one priority is inclusivity and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's escalate our way up to the overthinking gland, which is a vital part of the SJW brain because this is where they process most of their misinformation because they keep thinking there's discrimination, racism, this transphobia, homophobia. We live in some sort of white America with 3 Ks, but this is just a cause. Now, they use that cause to translate into two effects, which are these right here. Anger is a big part of the SJW brain. So proceed with caution. Just kidding. You don't have to proceed with caution because in reality, you're most likely going to get their feelings hurt. And what's crazy is that they can infinity snap this amount of happiness in a heartbeat. They channel this extreme anger onto the two glands in the very back, which are the trigger gland and the anti-bigotry gland. Very helpful in helping to respond and react. Let's go to the front of the brain, which is the conservative right-wing hate. Now, conservatives, if you're watching this, they hate your guts. They hate you. They don't care about your traditional values. And at the end of the day, they just want you to come over to right over here, keeping up with change. But you know, you're not going to let that happen now, would you? I feel like we've explained a lot on the keeping up with change part, so I'm going to move up here to the very top of the brain, which is the buzzwords. Now, this is more of a storage part of the brain that they keep just in case anybody that disagrees with them or any right-winger conservative, they'll use that against them and to try to like destroy them. So if anybody says, leave the kids alone, homophobia, I don't like this trans ideology, transgenderism, you know what to use, transphobia, SJWs. To end off this very, very important lesson, I've got the I stand with part. You guys hear about those world conflicts, controversial things that trend on social media. Well, for the SJWs, they get straight into the action without using extensive research or cognitive thinking. They'll go out of their way to protest in the streets, blocking traffic, surround somebody in a circle, somebody that disagrees with them. You know, they'll do the most insane things to get their way. I hope you have learned from this very informative video. And until next time, arigato.